needs to...
Hello, Assalamu alaikum, namaste, sat sri akal. Now, if I didn't say hello in your language, it's probably because it's a place that Britain didn't colonize.
Good afternoon, ladies, and good afternoon to the audiences out there. My name is Naseem Azad, and today, as part of International Women's Day, we're holding a very special show. I'm usually part of the Edinburgh Interfaith Association's Interfaith Insights, but today, because it's March and it's International Women's Day, it's very fitting that we do an extra special show. And I have with me three dynamic women in very different roles, different settings, and I wanted to invite them along today because, you know, yes, International Women's Day, and the theme this year is Choose to Challenge. And wherever we are, whoever we are, you know, we need to recognise the inequality and call out, you know, the bias that many women face across the world. But at the same time, the other side of that is celebrating the success of women and speaking to women. And so, as I said, we have three very dynamic guests, and I shall introduce you to them first, and then we'll talk in greater detail with them all. So we have Lubna Kerr with us today. Hi, Lubna.
Hello, hi, and thank you so much for inviting me to the Edinburgh Interfaith Association Choose to Challenge meeting.
I shall be challenging you, don't worry about that. Lubna is a pharmacist, but we will go on to speaking to in more detail about her other lifestyles. And then we have Anette West with us also. Welcome, Anette.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for inviting me here as well. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. Anette is a complementary therapist, correct?
Yes, that's right. Complementary therapist. And I specialise in aromatherapy and reflexology, but we'll hear more about that.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that, exactly. And Anette, in fact, will be giving us a demonstration because, you know, self-care is very important. And I think that's just made that much obvious since the pandemic. And in fact, we were doing a show on mental health and self-care a couple of days ago. And the fact that due to the pandemic, mental health and all those things that are associated with have been given a very high profile. The profile has been raised, is being recognized and acknowledged. So, you know, that's one of the positive things that, you know, some person that perhaps had never heard of mental health or these kind of situations are now very much aware of them. So it's good to talk about these and how we can counteract that by taking care of ourselves. And last but not least, we have the very amazing Nahla Awad. Welcome, Nahla.
Hi, Naseem. How are you? Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm Nahla Awad. I'm a dentist and a social entrepreneur. So happy to be with you here today. I hope I will be a light guest.
Great. Nahla is a trained dentist in Sudan, which I think right away, I just think, oh my goodness, a dentist in Sudan and studying law as well. And I think you're just upgrading those qualifications so you can practice here. Is that correct, Nahla?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So, welcome everybody, as I said. So we'll just start with Lubna. So Lubna is a trained pharmacist. How long have you been doing that job as a pharmacist? How many years did you practice that?
I love the way that you say that I'm a trained pharmacist. Like, you know,
Sorry.
I mean, it's like, are there untrained pharmacists out there? Oh yeah,
I'm sure there are.
So I trained at last century. I'm not going to tell you when, because then you'll work out how old I am. But I trained last century when actually, I was just thinking about this earlier, because now pharmacy is seen as the new medicine. You know, everybody and their auntie is becoming a pharmacist. And I'm like, I was the original Pakistani pharmacist. And now like everybody's doing pharmacy. So yeah, a long time is the answer.
Okay, so then you felt you needed to move to new pastures. And boy, were they different pastures. What's a shift from pharmacist to actress to comedian? Tell us about that journey.
Well, I suppose being a pharmacist, you're helping people, aren't you? You're helping them, you're improving their health and well-being, you're giving them medication that's going to make them better, you're focusing on prevention of disease, okay? So that's what a pharmacist would do, okay? And then actually the transition to acting came because I actually used to do acting when I was younger, and I loved creating stories. And I had that space in my life when my children were older and I had the time to actually do what I wanted to do. Because as a healthcare professional, you're always giving of yourself. You're always giving. And if you always give and you don't refill your well of energy, you're going to burn out. So actually I realized that I didn't want to burn out and I wanted to do something that was for me. And I love acting, I love telling stories. So I retrained and became an actress. And then about 3 years later, it wasn't enough to be a Scottish Pakistani older woman actress. I needed a USP, a unique selling point. So I thought, why don't I do stand-up comedy? Because stand-up comedy, you're on stage, you're telling a story, you're telling a joke, right? And if you're not acting, you're performing. So stand-up comedy is like performing a monologue on stage. And then obviously, laughter is the best medicine. So I either help people with medication or I help them make them laugh. Win-win for everybody, including me.
Definitely. And I remember I heard I was at one of your shows and you were speaking about, because I know nutrition is a big part of your life as well. I think you're trained nutritionist. And you were speaking about the Asian food scene. Do you want to just talk about that? Because I think that's a really clever way of making a good point.
Yeah, so I specialise in diabetes in my pharmacy world, right? And I would go to people's houses and I would say to them, this is what you can eat, this is what, this is, and then say, oh, come Dr. Lubna, because I've got a PhD, so I'm officially a doctor, right? And like these medics who are physicians, so I'm like, Dr. Lubna, they say, come Dr. Lubna, have this samosa, have this, chicken plow, and have this naan bread. And I'm like, are you trying to give me a heart attack now? And it's like, like in the Pakistani culture, I'm sure it's and very much in the, in the Eastern culture as well, it's one of, you offer food and you don't say no. So they know I'm Pakistani, so they know that I can't refuse. So I'm sitting there with this big, huge plate and I'm going to like 4 houses a day, right? 5 days a week. Can you imagine how much weight I put on in a month? No. My patients are losing weight and I'm putting all their weight on.
That's a good one, yeah. And then you'll be hearing, Dr. Lubna, you need to apply your own, advice to yourself because you seem to be gaining the weight. But you're right, it's true. The Asian family scene is if you go to visit somebody, there has to be a meal. It's not just a cup of tea. There's, if it's just tea, then there's samosas and biscuits and cakes that go with that. So it's very, people find it very offensive if you don't eat at their home.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's rude to refuse. That's my excuse and I'm sticking to it.
You came up with that, exactly. So the obvious thing, you said you're Muslim, Pakistani. How was that seen by your family and how were you received by the audiences?
So my children wish I was still a normal mum.
But every child thinks that, so that's okay.
Yeah, they're like, why can't you just be like everybody else's mums, And I'm like, I am. I'm just funnier, that's all. And they're like, no, you're not. No, you're not, mum. So so I think they wish I was just like normal. And I've only got a sister left, and I think she was probably quite embarrassed as well at the start. And I think, to be fair, I think they're not embarrassed, they're scared for you. They're scared that somebody's going to make fun of you or someone's going to heckle you. So it's actually their protection mechanism. So it's actually quite sweet that they care about you so much that they wish you didn't do it. Mm-hmm. And then the wider Scottish community is actually been mixed, I have to say, because, men don't always think that females are funny. And then the comedy world only thinks you're funny if you're under 30. I've just passed 30, so it's been challenging. You have to, but the enlightened ones know that actually with age comes experience and comes so many funny stories, as I'm sure your other guests, will share with you. So yeah, we've got to fly the flag for women. We are funny.
Fly the flag for women. I love that. Exactly. We have to, somebody has to do it. And I think the way that you're doing it, it is really such a unique way. I've never met an Asian comedian, male comedian, other than, never mind a female one. So that's really, breaking the barriers there and getting out into the world that normally Pakistani women, Muslim women don't go into. So that's fantastic.
I'm choosing to challenge people's thinking, shall we say.
Exactly, but that's it. This is the whole point of inviting you today, because we are choosing to challenge and to let folk know that women are able to do anything that they wish to do, choose any field, chase their dreams. And I mean, I understand, obviously, you know, I'm a mom as well. So, I mean, you have chosen to go down this path while you've got while you've had the time. So for the first year, last year was the first year I had in many, many years. I did absolutely nothing. And I chose to watch Netflix the entire year. You know, that was my thing. That was my thing. So many box sets I needed to catch up on and so many programs. And I'm not getting to that stage. It's like, okay, I need to kind of do something else now. My husband's coming and sitting with the remote control and he's like, are you still watching something? Just one more episode, that kind of idea. But, you know, that's something, because I've worked very hard in very different fields, but it's nice to kind of get that. And that's important to me. So then it goes back to what's important to you. It's not what people assume or want you to do. It's what you feel is right for you. And we should do that, you know?
Absolutely.
And I know that you've traveled far and wide to do shows. How has that been? Has that been very stressful? And have you found Glasgow's been just an amazing audience, or Newcastle's been like, ooh, how's that been?
Yeah, I traveled all over the UK. I've also even gigged in America as well. And
wow.
And on Zoom. So before the pandemic, I gigged in all over the UK and I traveled to America because I had family there. And I gigged in Texas. Texas is like redneck country. So if you can make people laugh in Texas, you've cracked it. and then during this time, I've been doing a lot of Zoom gigs, and that's amazing because, you know, I've gigged in Seattle, I've gigged in Los Angeles. You can gig in London, it's 7:30, and then you're in Edinburgh by 8 o'clock. Oh my, this is like Star Trek. I'm zooming. Beam me up, Scotty.
There we go. Same mind, think alike, exactly.
Yeah. So the last solo show I did in person was in the Leicester Comedy Festival in February 22nd last year. And that was probably the time that I've had the most diverse audience, because Leicester is obviously very, very mixed culturally. Yeah. And about a third of the audience were Asian. And it was just brilliant to have such a diverse audience, because the jokes work on different levels, you know. They work on a British level, but then there's also a subcurrent working on the Asian level. So it was great. It's great to have that mixed audience because you're getting laughter at different stages of the jokes.
But that must be difficult, because you just mentioned the diverse audience, because you'll never know who your audience is. So how do you, for example, if you make it, you know, if you're saying there's an Asian audience, they'll appreciate more your Asian jokes. Perhaps your mainstream audience perhaps wouldn't. So how do you work on that then?
So what you do is, right, yes. So that day when I was in Leicester Comedy Festival, I saw that there was a lot of, you know, a third of them. Actually, I could tell beforehand because they buy tickets. So you scan the name. So I knew there was going to be at least a third of the audience was going to be of Asian origin. So what I then did was I can bring in, I speak Urdu Punjabi, you know, so then I could bring in some of the characteristics of the Asian, wider Asian culture, and bring in some of the language as well, you know. So I suppose that's when you've been doing comedy, you know, for, you know, a few years as I have, you're able to then adapt your set to make it more culturally appropriate, you know. And then the same goes for when I was doing the Zoom gig for Seattle, right? So you know, if I'm making a joke about somebody from Dundee, right? Now they won't know where Dundee is. Yeah. So I can't talk about Dundee to, you know, to people from North America. So you then have to make your jokes about reference points that they would know about.
You need to tailor it somewhat.
You do, and it takes time. And you know, you can get it wrong, and you know, and when you're starting off, you do make those mistakes talking about local references that people won't know anything about. So people think it's just you just stand up on stage and you make people laugh. It's not as easy as that. It really is a skill, and it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, I never thought of that, because you know, you don't know your audience. It's like when I'm preparing for a talk, first thing I'll say, well, listen, I need to know who the audience is. For example, we do a lot of talks to school children. And it might be, for example, a P7, and they want me to go and talk about Islam. The first thing is like, what's their knowledge and understanding?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, this is their first lesson, then I'll know how to kind of approach that. Yeah. But then I've been to some high schools and they say, oh, they're just doing it as a GSC, I don't know what they call them nowadays. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But when you go in, they're so clever. And I'm like, oh my God. And you try and adapt. But of course, that's very different for you. That's because I never thought of it, that, you know, you need to kind of just think on your feet. Okay, he's my audience. And, you know, the jokes have to be appropriate to them, and so that they'll understand that. That's a lot of hard work. Well done, Lubna.
Yeah, it is. So the GCSEs are now called stay-at-home exams. Sorry, that's a George Swinney joke.
I know, but you know what? I wish I had actually decided to study last year, because everything was the work that you produced throughout the year. Because when I was at school, I did wonderful throughout the year, but I was really, really crap at exams. And I wish I'd done even just one thing last year. I wouldn't have had to do exams. I would have another couple of certificates under my belt. But anyway, that's another story. So Lubna, what I was going to say to everybody there, that Lubna also has an alternative life, and we will go into that much later on. But we will now move on to Anette. Thank you very much, Lubna. We'll hear from you in a minute. So as I said, Anette, welcome.
Hi, Nasim. Lovely to be here. And well done, Lubna. It's a pleasure to be with you again.
She's so funny and she's so inspiring. She really
is.
Yes,
she is. She is just lovely. And I have enjoyed her, you know, and in fact, one of the things I must say is that I am a presenter on a online radio station here in Edinburgh called Heart Song Live, and a lot of people I've actually done some interface work with Ian Stewart as well, and Lubna has been on my show as well. So yeah, this is great.
Good. So Annette, so you're a trained, so I keep saying that trained word now. Look, now you made me feel very self-conscious about that. Now I need to think of another word. But I think in this instance it does work. You are a complementary therapist trained in aromatherapy and reflexology. So where did that interest start from?
Well, that interest is actually quite interesting, because I was actually born in London, and I started working in London in offices, and then I moved to Edinburgh. And when I moved to Edinburgh many years ago, it was quite a long time ago, I moved to Edinburgh. And when I moved to Edinburgh, I was working in further education for language department. And strangely enough, I saw my ex-boss today while I was out walking, and we had a wee chitty-chatty. But I left there and I decided that, you know, I was into wanting to learn about plants. And I decided then that I'd like to do study for a degree in complementary therapy. So that's where it's all stemmed from. And that's where it's all started.
And do you think that there's a much bigger demand now that over the years for complementary therapists? Would you agree?
Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, very much so, for lots of different reasons. And one of the main reasons is that we are all, first of all, thinking about the environment. And complementary therapy is actually using plants and using things which don't harm the environment, which actually complement the environment, and it's all organic and it's all healthy. And I think we are now looking at our own health as well, and what we put into our bodies. You know, kind of thing. We don't want all these chemicals and these different things. So we are all looking more about what we do and what we put into our bodies. Now, that also has an interesting sort of way now, is that it's become more trendy, you know, like becoming vegans and things. But the complementary therapies and the things that I do have been around for centuries. So they're not new. They're not new. It's just that we're actually packaging it up differently and we're presenting it differently. But nothing is new with what we're doing. It's actually having the knowledge, taking the knowledge and actually using it for our own benefits.
And, you know, you mentioned the fact that, you know, taking, for example, excessive amounts of medication, tablets and whatnot, you know, we should really try and stay away from those. So, but this is an alternative way of healing reflexology to me means, is that some sort of massage? Is that the one that's done on the feet, or?
Yeah, it's the one that's done on the feet. But let me stop you there. Now, the thing is, I am not talking about not taking medicine.
Oh no, that's a different matter.
I'm actually talking about maintaining medicines and maintaining your own health. And what you can do is that you look at what you're doing, you look at what you're eating, because we've spoken about food as well, because that's very important. Look at what you're eating, look at what you're doing, and you can actually take control of certain things. Now, there's other things in life happen and you can't be in control. And so obviously you will need sometimes the help of, medical intervention and different things. And yes, you'd go down that line. But if you look after yourself, it's about self-care, which is what we're talking about. Yeah. It's about self-care and looking after yourself. And that's so important.
Mm-hmm. Of course. So, and as moms or women, especially, we're working, like as Lubna said, we're giving. But, yeah, we need to reciprocate that. We need to take care of ourselves. If I'm in a fit and healthy position, and not always physically healthy, we're talking about mental health as well.
Mm-hmm.
We then are able to give that much better service, so to speak, to our families. And so how do we promote that, explain to folk that self-care is important? How do you get that out to folk out there? Because a lot of people
it's really quite useful in lots of different ways. We're talking about interfaith here, and I'm with several groups which I get involved in, and we think in terms, especially women. I work a lot with women as well, because women, as you say, our mothers, our wives, we have busy lifestyles and everything else. But what we try to do, what I do is, you have to learn to love yourself. And now loving yourself is not being selfish. It's actually taking time. So after you've given and you've helped everybody else, you take time for yourself. And for me, the mind and the body goes together. So if your mind is healthy, if your mind is in a good place, the body is as well in a good place. Whereas if you're giving all the time, you're going to be feeling depleted. So if your mind and your body is balanced, and you give yourself some self-care, then everything around you is part of the environment. Yeah,
things should fall into place if it's balanced. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the thing is, as you say, with busy lifestyles and being mums and things like that, we find it difficult to give ourselves that, I call it the break, kind of thing, because we are trying to juggle things. So I think we all have to say to ourselves, listen, in order for us to be the best that we can be, we need to take time out for ourselves. And that's what we call self-care. Now, self-care is not being selfish. It's actually taking time so that you can actually be the best that you can be.
Okay. So I mentioned earlier on that we're hoping that Anette will give us an example of how to do, are you able to do demonstration of an act of self-care? Something?
Yes, I can. And before we go into what I'm going to show you now, it's just a very quick thing. But one of the things, as we're talking about interfaith, is that it says as a Christian, it says in the Bible that your body is a temple, okay? And it's a gift from God. We as human beings, as women, our body is a gift from God, and God is a creator, and he made us in the most wonderful, creative way. So we should honor him by looking after our bodies. And that is so important, to make sure that you are looking. He has given you the gift of your body. You look after your body and do the best you can to maintain this wonderful gift that we have. So yeah, I'd like to share with you a little thing which I do, and I tend to do it for myself first thing in the morning, and because when we are looking at ourselves, when we get up and we look at ourselves, we can actually thank God and say, I'm so grateful and happy I'm so grateful and happy for my body. Sometimes there's bits of our body that we don't like, you know, kind of thing. But you have to remember that that is a gift from God. All of us is a gift from God. So what I would say is, if what you can do is sit with your feet, sit in a chair with feet apart. And if you take your 2 index fingers, and you can actually, what I'm going to do is press some pressure points. So if you start in the middle here, just on your eyebrow.
Come on,
Just
Lubna,
on your,
Nahla. You need to be doing this.
yeah, just on your eyebrow. Just do a little bit of tapping, very lightly tap on your eyebrows. And you start feeling little sensations coming through. And this is actually helping a little bit of circulation. And it's also good for the eyes as well. Because what we see, we take in everything that we see. And then we can actually work to the side of the eyebrows. Just a little bit of tapping, just a little bit of tapping at the side of the eyebrows. Okay. Again, this is helping to stimulate and circulate the blood around our face, which is really, really lovely. Okay. And then what we're going to do is take your little finger, just your little finger, and just tap underneath the eyes. Now, I'm actually taking a bit of time to work around this area because I've had a lot of problems and situations in the past where I've had very poor eyesight. And so this has actually helped me to restore and bring a little bit of energy into the eyes, okay? Now, what you're going to do now is that you take the index finger again, and at the top of the face is your philtrum, and just keep tapping. It's almost like a little bit of tapping there, little bit of tapping. And you can feel the bone there, but tap very gently and very lightly. Again, all this tapping is bringing and circulating the blood around the body. And what you need to do is take your 2 index fingers and just tap around the mouth. Absolutely, just on the corner of the mouth, okay? Oh, yes. And then what we're going to do now is just in the chin area. Now, these are all reflex points. These are all reflex points, and you can tap as long as you like. You know, you can sit there and just keep tapping as long as you like. Okay. And now, just below the neck, just at the bottom there, is a little V-shaped bit. And you can actually feel it, press it, and there's a little V-shaped bit. Just keep tapping in there, okay? Just keep tapping in there. And that's absolutely lovely. Now, what I want to do, just to finish everything off and to bring everything together, is just to smooth around the face and just channel it all down. And then you could do that again, all around the face, just around the cheekbones, around the chin, and just down. And one last time, again, just lifting it up makes you look younger, years younger, around there. And just shake your little fingers. Just shake it off. And that's a little massage. You could do that as long or as little as you like.
Thank you very much, Annette. Something that occurred to me while you were focusing on the eyes. Now, since the pandemic, I mean, I think there's no person on earth that has not heard of Zoom or Skype or team meetings, and the effect on eyes. I'm sure it's had a massive, massive effect. My nephew had to go to the opticians because he's having to wear glasses. Poor guy, because he's doing studying at home. Will this exercise help? Because I'm sure
yes, it will. It will indeed. And what are we talking about? As you say, being on Zoom, being on computers, being on laptops, being on all the phones and everything else will have a massive effect. Now, what we usually say, but who does it? I mean, we should actually try and adopt it, is that you should only be on your devices for an hour. Get out, move around, walk around, do something. You know, do some cooking, do some dancing, do some energy, but don't stay on constantly, because your eye muscles, all these muscles around your eyes will get weakened because they're not actually activating, they're not actually moving, they're actually static, So you need to exercise them. So yes, tapping around the eyes. Tapping around the eyes is so very, very important. And it will actually bring energy. It brings life into the eyes as well. But yeah, being on COVID and being around, you do need to take care of yourself. And that actually leads me into the fact that I am actually a volunteer at the RNIB, which is Royal National Institute for the Blind. And I do support them as well. In terms of, I'm also doing what we called Kilt Walk. Now, the Kilt Walk is actually based in Edinburgh and based in Scotland. And a way I keep myself fit is actually to go out walking. Now, we can't go out walking as a group, but we can go out walking individually. So I'm actually going to be doing some walking. I get dressed up in a kilt. I get dressed up in something tartan. And I go and I walk and I do fundraising for RNIB. So that's what I'm going to be doing in April. And I've done that for the last 5 years. And again, it's one of the things, as we're talking about self-care, I found through doing a kilt walk is that when I go out and walk, it gives me time for my own self-care. And I can lose myself. I can think about other things. And I'm away from the computer as well. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, and walking, we sometimes forget what a cheap way of getting up there. You just need a good pair of trainers, and in my case, I was like to have good music to listen to, and I probably could walk for miles. And it's cheap, it's free, and it's enjoying the nature. It's beautiful places to walk around Scotland. Scotland's very, very blessed.
Beautiful.
Beautiful places to walk, and ultimately what a massive positive impact it'll have on your physical health, but also your mental health. Yeah, because when we connect with nature, when we see nature, it does take us to another place, and that's a very, very positive thing to be doing.
I mean, I'm very passionate about it. As you say, walking is so beneficial. And I think all rounder, if you're eating well, and your diet is balanced, going out and walking on a regular basis is so very, very important. And it helps you sleep as well. If you have problems sleeping, and you've been out for a nice walk, I just sleep like a little baby.
Good. And then just before we move on, I wanted to ask about reflexology, because you mentioned that that's done on the feet. And I remember seeing a wee picture somewhere, and it had like a map of the feet, and this line represents the heart, or this line represents eczema, for example. I'm just how does that work?
Well, there's lots of nerve endings in the sole of your feet. Okay, now feet are really amazing because they carry you everywhere. Your feet are there wherever you walk, whatever you do. Your feet are a reflection of your body. So what happens is that there's all these points, these reflex points in your feet, which relate to the whole of your body. So if you actually are working on the reflex points, and you can either use your hands and your fingers to manipulate a pressure, or some people like the acupuncturists, they actually use needles in your feet as well, or around your body, to actually do the same thing. So reflexology for me is very, very important in terms of faith as well, because in the Bible, Jesus, and we're coming up towards Easter, washed all the disciples' feet, kind of thing. And this is a way of him showing the love for the disciples. And the feet reflect everything which is going on in the body. So say, like, for example, if you have a sore back, or even a sore arm, there are points on the feet which you can actually work in order to help and alleviate all those sort of conditions as well. So it's very complex, but it's a wonderful way. I mean, how many times have you sort of been out walking, you come back and you feel very, very tired because your feet are tired? Mm-hmm. Or say, like, for example, if you're lying in bed and it's cold and your feet are cold, you find it difficult to sleep. Whereas if your feet are warm and comfortable, you'll just drift off quite easily, kind of thing. So the feet has this really, really complex way of balancing the body and keeping everything in balance.
Wow, I never thought of that. And I'm always like that. I need to take a hot water bottle to bed. Even last night, it was quite cold. My feet get very cold. Need my hot water.
There you are.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Annette. I really appreciate that for you coming along and sharing your wisdom and your knowledge there. Something that everybody can really apply in their lives. Thank you very much. Now we're moving on to the very dynamic Nahla, who I met a few years ago. She was doing a talk, and I thought, Nahla is just an amazing, amazing woman. Welcome, Nahla.
Hi, Nasim. Thank you very much for the introduction. Thank you, Lubna and Annette, for your interview. Actually, Annette reminded me with the emotional freedom technique, so it was really helpful. Thank you very much. And Lubna is my role model, so thank you very much for offering me this chance. We talked to like in 2016 over the phone twice, but this is my first time to see her, like, let us see in the virtual world, not face to face.
Exactly.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see her live soon.
So Nahla does so many things in the community, so many different aspects. She's such a trained, she's trained in many, many things, dentistry, law. She's done an MSc at Edinburgh University, which is, so not Edinburgh University, Napier University, which is also where Annette studied as well. And but the reason I've asked Nahla to come and join us today is because she's doing, where is it? It's a BME Star Awards, is BME
Star Women Hub.
Star Women, that's right, sorry. A new project that Nahla has just launched in November. So Nahla, what is a project first? And then we'll talk a bit more about it. What is it?
Yeah, thank you. The Star Women Hub is an idea like came to me when I chose myself as an avatar, as the persona that I want to help, because most of the women like coming here with migration or coming here as wives, and then later on they will face difficulties in marriage and things like that. They end up getting divorced, isolated and lonely, or sometimes although they are professional, just until they integrate and go to the system, they will be like unemployed for a while. So I decided, like, why not empowering them, like women like me, and have the same kind of support that I got, and tell them that if I can do it, everybody can do it. So what I want to say to them, like, it's okay, you have a safe place, we created this hub for you, you're more than welcome to come. And in the introductory level, we have is a 12 weeks course funded by the Cora Foundation. And the course will be like delivered to offer emotional intelligence. And the word emotional intelligence means understanding emotions, building resilience, improving the capacity of dealing with life stresses. And again, there will be a lot of training about how to manage your stress triggers and anxiety, and understanding the reasons behind the emotional trauma. So what we want to try is to help them to understand their emotions very well, feel welcome within themselves, and how, as she said, like Annette, like the body is your temple. So I'm dealing with the healing inside. So I'm dealing with the emotion, the spiritual healing, and the mental healing, which will lead eventually into physical healing. After that, we are going to help them to start their business ideas. So we'll give them a lot of mentoring, coaching, and support. I don't offer counseling. What I offer is the forward thinking. So rather than regurgitating on the past and seeing the stories again and again, what we are offering them is solutions and ways to self-regulate and move on. I hope this will be, it's a pilot study, and we welcome the women to join, and mainly from ethnic minority, but we will never say no to anybody else who would like to get. But as I said, it's a sponsored program, so the priority will be for those who are funded by the program. And then they will be it will be an interactive course, so we will give them topics and a lot of handouts and materials, and they will help us to generate it, and their testimonial and feedback will be very, very good for us, because it will lead our future development. So the next stage is going to be either they will move to one-to-one coaching or mentoring, or they can go to, okay, I have this business idea, how can I start? So we'll help them from the scratch. Or if anybody is already in business and would like to help to get strategic development and growth, we have qualified coaches from John Maxwell in different places. So they've been trained in a very good level, and they have a long record of experiences. And if you look at my website for the Emotional Empowered Women, you will find 2 coaches, but actually we have plenty.
Okay.
So soon will come. Soon you will feel this. You will see this website full of network of coaches who are here to help women with passion, with commitment, and we are very honest and sincere with integrity to empower those women and help them to have better life and achieve financial independence.
Wow, that's fantastic. And I love how you mentioned the first part of the program is a 12-week course on emotional intelligence. I've never heard of that phrase before, but
that's why I shouldn't have said emotional intelligence, because this is something we want to train them on. It's a terminology used to understand the emotions, why we have emotions, what are they? Because as you know, especially in the ethnic minority, we used to suppress our emotions. So anger, sadness, and a lot of things, especially among women, they absorb them inside. It's very difficult to open up.
Yeah,
we want to
train just to bottle
up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of unleashing that, moving forward from that. And once you're at a good place, it's very much comes back to what Annette's talking about. It's that self-care. If we love ourselves, we, give ourselves that kind of platform, we're ready for that platform, we can then move on to the next part of the project, which is where you speak to, we're able to speak to expertise with an idea. So if I have an idea, I can come along and then they'll say, okay, for example, and can you give examples, of the kind of ideas?
For example, if a woman has a talent of baking, so we can tell her how to market that, how to create a Facebook group, how to do it organically without a lot of money, within like shoestring marketing. And so we'll help them to understand what is marketing, how to do it yourself. I do everything myself, so now I'm doing it like the jack of all trades. So this is through the help of the coaches. So I mean, like, if we train the women, you can do everything from the piece of your home. I understand they have responsibilities, they have kids, they have parents to care for. So if I give them the opportunity to sell from their house to the world, that's exactly what I'm looking for. The world is a very, very small place now, and it's very well connected. So the idea is how to train everyone, and everyone is having the capacity. And the good thing that I'm applying for another fund, if we are successful to get that from Big Lottery, we'll help the women to pay for the internet and get like smartphone or something like that. They don't have like technical facilities, and we'll offer them training how to use Zoom and things like that. So hopefully more and more to come.
Great. And do you have I know you just started in November, so your ladies may not have reached the end of the program, or is there anybody that's reached the end of the program you give an example of?
Actually the program will start sometimes in May. We are waiting for the Disclosure Scotland. So at the moment it's the marketing and networking. So this is a good opportunity, thank you very much, in order to inform the people. So I'm trying to raise awareness through the Facebook group, from the Facebook page, LinkedIn and Instagram, but also I'm liaising, as you know, like I'm very active with the ethnic minority organizations. So with Bright Choices, with Sacro, Eric, and today was the interface. So it's a great opportunity. So hopefully people will come and show up, and I will do my best like to encourage them. And it's my passion and my mission in life, like to empower at least 1,000 women from here to 2025 to achieve their goals and financial independence.
Definitely, you have so much energy, and I could feel the energy. You
Thank you.
Certainly, for anybody that's listening today, and we'll obviously share your website and your information on our page. I'm sure there'll be loads of women signing up just by listening to the way you talk and such passion and commitment.
Thank you.
So all the best.
Thank you.
Now, I see that somebody else has taken out 5 minutes to join us. Who is this? Is this Aunty G? Oops, Aunty G needs to...
Hello, Assalamu alaikum, namaste, sat shri akal. Now, if I didn't say hello in your language, it's probably because it's a place that Britain didn't colonize.
So just to give an introduction, this is Lubna, and she has another role that she fulfills. She records short videos, very funny clips, as Aunty G. Now, Aunty G is a very common phrase within the Asian culture. Aunty Gs are always the kind of women that kind of say too much, and they shouldn't say too much in our communities. And I'm sure there's an Aunty G in every community, actually. So they tend to not having many filters, but I thought it'd be quite nice to have Aunty G performing live for us today. So Aunty G, what have you been up to today?
Well, I was very interested to hear about Anette and her tapping. And I thought she was going to do tap dancing. I was so excited. I got my tap shoes out. But not today, maybe. But very good, Anette. I like all this tapping business. Yes, it made me look 20 years younger. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Exactly.
And Nahla, I think what you're doing is just amazing. I hear that Lubna is actually an NLP coach as well. Yes, I know. She does everything. I don't like her very much. No. So let me tell you about AUNTY.
Please.
AUNTY, I am the world's newest chat show host and confidant.
Okay.
People send me letters from all over the world. They're looking for my sage advice. Not sage, that sage people, who do the hocus pocus with the government. Not them. No. I give my own personal sage advice. So I get letters from people asking for my advice, like Boris Johnson and Dominic Cumming, Nicola Sturgeon. What can I say,
Very full of wisdom. And Auntie, what's with the scarf? Is it a tartan scarf?
Yes, it is. I'm a Scottish Pakistani.
Oh, sorry, my mistake. Sorry, right, okay.
I'm Scottish Pakistani, absolutely tartan scarf, yes.
Right, okay. No, you were listening to Annette talking about the use of natural products. Do you use haldi, which is turmeric, and all these kind of products to maintain your beautiful face and your health? Do you use natural stuff at all?
Which part of this face says I can cook? Is that what you're asking me? Haldi, we use haldi in cooking. Why do people always think that brown faces can cook? I mean, my husband made the same mistake as well.
All right.
Yes, he's paying for it now.
Oh. So have you been out today at all? What do you do for fun then?
Fun. That's a very interesting question. I look at my garden and think, why didn't my mom teach me how to grow flowers?
Oh.
As a Pakistani person, we're taught how to cook. Well, some people are. We're taught how to sew. We're taught how to read the Quran, but nobody told us how to grow flowers. I just have to look at a flower and it dies. I need to get a gardener or two, I think.
Okay.
To teach me how to grow flowers. Yes. Kindness. I think I need to be kind to flowers. Was it Annette you said about kindness? Yes, kindness is very, very important.
Maybe you should talk to the flowers, tell them a joke or so.
Yes, yes. That's a very good idea. I will tell my flowers some jokes, and the problem is they're stuck in a pot, so they can't run away. So that's a very good idea.
Now, the Aunty is very famous for always, not Lubna, but the traditional Aunty is always known for asking questions along the lines of, when are you getting married?
Yes.
When are you having children?
Yes.
Is this something that you do as well?
Of course, I'm your typical auntie. Usually I'm much more circumspect. I might say, how long do you have left on your biological clock?
Ooh, okay.
And people have to think about that. I remember one day I was in a shop, and in a halal butcher shop, and this lady said, "Oh, Auntie G, it's okay, don't worry." And I'm thinking, who was she talking to? There was nobody else in the shop. And then I realized she was talking to me. And so I did the usual thing. I said, "Hello, my beta, how are you? Are you married? How long have you lived here?" And yes, you have to stick to what you believe in. Just be direct. Ask the question you want the answer to, and then the world just opens up for you.
I know that's true. Yeah.
Or the doors maybe just open up for you as they're trying to shove you out the door quickly.
That's true indeed. Is there anything else that you would like to add? Because we're just coming to the end of the show.
Yes, I think Lubna said to me that she forgot to tell you about something. She started doing this podcast called Just Being Human.
Okay.
And she's recorded with her friend Helen 2 podcasts. So if you Google Just Being Human, it will come up. But I wanted to say to all women, just have faith and be kind and spread your love. And then together, all the women of whatever faith, we can all do great work. So thank you so much for inviting me and Lubna on today. It's been my pleasure. And we're all flying the flag for women.
Flying the flag, I love that. And that's a very positive way to end the show. Annette, thank you very much. Nahla, thank you very much. And Aunty G, thank you. And please do pass on my best to Lubna as well. And just as we finish the show, just, you know, in our own wee corners, we can fight, we can choose to challenge anything that we see happening. And, you know, this is, it can be something as simple as just speaking to another member of the family, just asking somebody that you can see that's facing some problems, or just even a kind word, just taking somebody out with you when you're on a walk. Something as simple as that. I'm not saying we can all, you know, there's lots to be done, but, you know, let's look at what we're able to do to help our sisters wherever they may be. And so thank you to everybody that's joined today, special guests, and fly the flag. That's what we need to be doing. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye all. Thanks.